Okay, so our final step is going to be to add our dimensions, but before we do, what we want to do is we want to save a copy of this because we're going to want to add our sort of grain effect onto this later on, and we don't want to add all our dimensions then have to delete them again later. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and Save As, and I'm going to call this, okay, in my documents, so again, like this PC, documents, and I'm going to call this orthographic with color. I'm then going to press Save. I'm going to obviously I'm going to close that down, and then I'm actually going to close this down, okay, and then I'm going to open up the one I've just saved with my orthographic with dimensions like this, my picture frame orthographic. So the idea being, in your documents, you should have two copies of the same thing. One called picture frame orthographic, one called orthographic with color. You now need to open up in front of you, close it all down, and only open up in front of you picture frame orthographic. Okay? What I'm now going to do is I'm actually going to spread these designs out so I've got a little bit of room to work on all of them individually. Okay? So like this, let's put that one about there, like that. Okay. Now again, we know how to add dimensions. It's going to be use our dim line tool. So we've got our horizontal, our vertical, our radii if we need it, like a radius dimension. I'm going to start off with horizontal, and I'm going to make sure my attach tool is on. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the dimensions of the outside box like this. So I'm going to click on that one like that. I'm also probably going to do the inside dotted line that I've done here and the inside of the picture frame here like that. So that gives me my three measurements all in line. Now again, I'm going to click the select tool, click on the dimension, I'm going to come down to property, I'm going to click on text, and I'm going to make that height a little larger. So I'm actually going to type in something like 10 millimeters. So it's a little bit larger on the screen. Press OK. There we go, much better. So I'm going to do that for all three of these so far, just so when I print this off, or if you need to come back and check it quickly, we know straight away the sizes that we need our piece to be. It's really important because obviously when you come to manufacture this yourself, you're going to need to be able to read this quick and easily. Now, I'm just going to move that slightly bigger because it seems to have attached itself in the wrong place. Let's move that up a little bit higher than that, maybe about there. My 120, let's move that up, and my 100 can move ever slightly up like that. I'm then actually going to shift click on all of them and change the line color to something like red or blue or green, just so they stand out compared to the rest of the drawing. Okay, because I've got lines here that come up from the drawing itself. I don't want to leave them as black because it gets a little bit confusing. So you can see I've got my heights there. Now I know for a fact this side or the back is the same size as the front, so I don't need to do the same set of measurements on the back. I already know it's the same size. What I am going to do, however, I'm going to switch myself to a horizontal, or a vertical, sorry, I should say, set of measurements, so vertical dimensioning, with my attach tool, and do the same again. So I'm going to do the dotted line to about there. I'm going to do my next line and my outside line, like that. Now you're going to repeat this process many, many times. So I'm going to click on the dimension, property, text. It's really important that we do this and we take our time with this, making sure it all lines up looking neat and tidy. Just because an orthographic is really important for construction, that we understand how things look, etc. So I'm just going to do this a few times so I end up with a decent looking orthographic, and I'm going to change those lines to blue as well. Looking at it, those numbers overlap, so why don't I just grab that one and move this slightly away. Let's turn the attach tool off a minute so I can get myself a little bit closer. And this one here. And let's actually just move that 170 a little bit more, and I think that will give us space to fit the 150 in. Let's zoom back out, and I'm going to shift click on these like this and change the line color to blue like that. Now again, you need to repeat this process until you've got all the measurements that you need. What I'll do is I'll pause the recording very quickly, I'll do the other on the side and any other dimensions that we need, and then we'll talk about it at the end of the video. Okay, so hopefully you can now see that I've finished my side view using the same sort of tools, so my dimension tool and my attach tool, to create the correct dimensions. There's a few things I want to draw attention to on the side view. It does look a little bit complex now you've got all the extra measurements on. It is quite difficult to see. However, in the next set of videos when we're adding our grain effect, hopefully it looks a little bit more simple and you can kind of correlate the two together so that you can make sense of it. But we know the overall height is 210. The reason that I've drawn an extra 210 on the right hand side here as compared to the one in the middle, which is our back view, so our side view and our back view both have 210 millimeters, is because this section here where it says 30 and 30, it's really important sometimes to have that measurement so that we know we can do our calculations from it. So what I mean by that is, although it's 170 millimeters tall, right? This rectangle, it's 170 millimeters tall. Without this, say 20 or 30 on here, it doesn't necessarily mean that rectangle is actually in the center. It could be, for example, 10 millimeters further to the top. So there's like, it's closer to the top than it is the bottom. You just don't know. The reason we do this, like I said, is so we can do some maths. So for example, I know, just looking at the side view alone, that the 210 millimeters is from end to end. And then we've got 20 and 20 from top and bottom. So all I need to do is do 210, take away that 20 and 20, so 40. So 210 take away 40. That should give me 170. So I can do some maths to figure out some sizes, and that's why it's important to have dimensions quite clear and quite easy to see on your screen throughout the whole picture. So once you've done this, hit save, so we've got it ready, and then we can move on to the next task.